All right, so what's our topic for this edition of 8760 here?
So we were supposed to be talking about what AI is doing to the internet, and specifically websites, website experience, website builds,
Okay.
because of that article I wrote. But then because our team bailed on us because they're doing work, Elena recommended questions that people ask us about AI, like specifically clients.
Yeah. All right.
So she called it listener questions, but you have to have listeners for them to ask questions.
True.
Client questions.
True.
Yeah. And so some people
We're
don't know.
trying to work on the listener part,
Right,
you know? Yeah.
And so, so that was her prompt for us.
Okay. Prompt. Did you use that intentionally?
No, I didn't. I'm not that clever.
It's infiltrated you?
Yeah, no. So that she wrote questions that are commonly asked, and I haven't been asked those questions, but I see why they would be asked. And then I wrote questions that I have been asked in the last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So how do you want to kick it off?
You want to go her questions or mine? She sent you her questions.
What's your response? Like not content, not like subject matter related or whatever, but like, I think the biggest thing I get asked like is just generally, what's the impact it's going to have? Like, is it going to take jobs? How's it changing day to day?
No one asks me that. Everyone proclaims that it's going to take jobs. And then they don't do shit about it. They don't.
Why don't they do anything about it?
Well, I find that, not just about the job signal, right? Let's leave that aside. It's just AI as it's become part of our lives. New tools, new approaches, new processes, new ways of thinking, new ways of working. I run into a lot of, we find something cool, right? Oh, wow, this platform does this and it's free, and what we were doing for 12 hours, we can actually do in an hour now. And everyone goes, oh yeah, that's amazing. And then you ask them how it worked. Like, hey, how did it work out? At the same time, they go, oh, I haven't tried it. That's been one of my largest experiences, is people failing to adopt the thing that they had just said was useful and cool. So, oh my God, look at this new thing. We're able to cut this data analysis thing down. They go, oh my God, amazing. And they turn around and they go right back to the way things always were, right?
It does seem like, from the angle you're coming from, like, there are more lists and articles talking about all the different tools that could be used for these different various use cases. But then to your point, like, it seems like the people that created the list never actually like went and used the tool because like they're not really what they claim to be yet, right? Or like they don't do all of those things, start to finish. So it's like we're living in this like, oh, now there's 40 tools that have come across our desk in the last 2 days about like how to build websites faster.
Yeah.
Right? But like when you actually go to use it, it's not just like close your eyes, talk to your computer, and all of a sudden you have your site.
I've had that experience where because I like to play around with new quote unquote new tools, where on one hand I'm saying, holy shit, is there a like influencer type market that's happening where they're pushing the use of this tool and I'm just being sold to, and it's actually shit.
Yeah.
So on the other hand, I'm going,
yes.
Wait, I ran the tool once.
Yeah.
Right? I ran it once and I said it was shit. Right? I don't know how to use this tool. I don't know its features. I don't know what it's great at. I just got a free trial and I ran it once and said, that sucked. Right? That's a shitty user. And there's so many of them. And so we keep running around scratching the surface and we don't know what we're doing. And then we go, no. I'm an expert. I tried 3 different tools today. Right? We didn't try 3 different tools.
But I think that's also, I'll push back a little bit and say like, that's also on the marketplace right now, right? Like we'll go back not far, but we'll go back to like initial like Windows applications, right? Like Word, Excel, Access, like Outlook, right? Like there was very clear, like this is for this utility. And now, because everything claims to be the next like no code, conversational, generative, everything, right? Like they're not all like they're good at certain things, but like we don't know that until we get in there, right? Like
That's what I mean.
Right, but no one's just saying like this is the lane, right? This is how you use us, right? Like Excel, like there was a very clear use case, right? Like Microsoft Word, like even CRMs and like those tools were streamlined. And I feel like now because AI is everything, it's like, oh, this can do anything.
Because it's a gold rush.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And how many are just VO, just Nano Banana that they have something wrapped on top of it that then they're selling as something special.
90%.
Yeah. And we're just wasting our time and then sending our emails out for a lot of free trials. It's a marketer's dream.
I do get more and more calls from my friend spam and cold outreach emails since I've been signing up for all these DAOs. What I think is like interesting, and I'm pulling it up just because like there's a lot. I go to like the last wave, which was digital, right? Or like that unlocked a few mini waves, right? But like all of these things, right? Like prior to 1995, Java developer was not an occupation, right? Like 2007, there were no iOS developers, no App Store optimization specialists, no UX designers. You know, prior to 2006, there were no cloud architects. There was no data science prior to 2006, 2007. There was no cryptocurrency traders or blockchain developers or NFT artists. You know, prior to 2009, their prompt engineer was a thing, and arguably it's gone again, right? Like, but there's no synthetic media designers or AI ethics roles. And like prior to 2013, there was no rideshare drivers. There was no fleet managers. There was no Airbnb hosts. There was no gig delivery workers or virtual restaurant operators or Amazon FBA sellers, Etsy shop owners, right? Like none of these things, everyone was like, oh, Amazon's going to take job of small business or this or that. Like it's always like what is it replacing? But it's also like it's just shifting the model a little bit, right? Like yes, it might have created some redundancy, some efficiency or some disruption, but then when you look at all of right like the types of jobs that came out of YouTube and Instagram and Twitch and TikTok and OnlyFans, right? Like e-commerce, subscriptions, food tech, like IoT, right? Like there's always the next, you just have to be ready to evolve and adjust. So that's where like, to sort of answer my question, right? It's like, that's where my mind usually goes is like, there was a time where people used typewriters, right? And there was a time when it was like, you have to then use a computer, right? Like you used to have almanacs and fucking reference books.
I agree.
Like,
I said people don't ask about our jobs being taken away, they proclaim it. The only people I hear proclaiming that are washed up creatives, right? Washed up creatives who didn't diversify their skills, didn't adopt new methods, new technologies, new conversations, and they are claiming it because they didn't do those things. They didn't adopt and adapt, right? But you know, I talked to developers who seemingly are one of the ones who are most at risk, and I'm talking about ones who don't work here, and they are thriving and they're excited, right? Because they are taking it on and they're watching what's happening and they're finding new ways to use their expertise, their skills, their ability to think, solve problems, and they're applying new uses for it, right? That is the simple solution. It's not taking our jobs, it's taking the jobs we had and find a new way, right? Find a new way to be useful. If you want to do nothing, if you want to be the same, right? Time will pass you by.
we kind of talked about it a little bit in like prep for some of our internal stuff and town hall and things like that. I think it's still a little bit of a weird transition because in some ways, like use of new tools, right, is like in today's world is like cliche, not cliche, critiqued, right? Like it's seen as like, you don't really want to necessarily admit how much you're leveraging, AI, or people feel like it's showing that, they can get something done faster, or it's not as hard, or it's not as time consuming, or some of the great thinking that was a product of AI, came from them, right? So, and it's almost like there's this guard of, if you find a tool that's working, there isn't necessarily as much of a sharing economy in at least the workplace right now because of the stigma from.
Yeah. Well, because I think you're referring to, like, I know I've been called out on it, and I call it out, is if someone sees a certain formatting, they go, I'm not going to read this because you just AI generated and it's garbage, right? And so there's a stigma to the use of it because it means they didn't actually think. Are you referring to that?
Yeah, but I'm also just referring to, like, if someone figures out a way to cut down, editing time or imagery sizing or mood board generation or Martin Teller, whatever it may be, like, there's still this, if I can keep that mine, and that's my competitive advantage against my peers.
I don't see that. I don't experience that.
I see it.
I feel like a lot of people share and they try to get other people excited, and then I'm seeing the failure to adopt, not the I'm using it and I want it to be an advantage of mine.
Okay.
Interesting. Who are you hanging out with?
No one likes me.
So that means you're using it as.
I mean, I'm not. There's no one that's use of AI is more exploited than mine here.
I see a lot. I mean, I'm also on the AI committee where we nerd out. I mean, you're in it. You just don't join.
I forget that it's happening.
Yeah.
But it's usually I'm in AI during the meeting.
And that's important for your listeners to know, that your host doesn't show up to meetings, and if he does, he's in his laptop the whole time not listening.
Oh, I'm listening. I am listening. That's how I listen. I need to process multiple screens at once, otherwise I get antsy.
Right, so back to that. I'd been asked 2 questions. Every agency says they're now experts in AI, but how are you actually using it? And then a guy asked me last week that someone had said that we're always innovating and trying new things, and we create Agent XQ and all this stuff. And he says, what does it actually mean when you say, and I forget the word, it wasn't innovating. He said something like, whatever. And he said, how do you actually know if you are innovative or experts or cutting edge or whatever the person said? How do you actually know? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. How do we know? If we're just in this, like, echo chamber and we think we're trying new things, we're building our own things and testing stuff and running all these things, what if everyone else is actually better than us? We don't know. What if we're a bunch of idiots and don't understand it at all, but then we say we're experts?
I wasn't going to go all the way there, but I think part of it, we talk about it all the time, is like, and you just sort of hit on it without intending to, and you talk about you're trying things, right? Like, it is understanding and maintaining a pulse on what large, small, coastal versus middle, America situated businesses and consumers, and an understanding of what everyone's doing, right? Like, and trying every single tool, like, or when it's mentioned as a potential, in a write-up of best, like, multi-purpose agent builders, or prompt chaining, or different dashboards, and getting demos, and different, media opportunities, and understanding, where that inventory truly is, like what the ad unit looks like, what the interaction capabilities are, what the tracking capability, like, it's continuously asking and trying and experimenting, right? Like, I am not naive to the point where, like, there is not another human on the planet that conceived of, you know, the sort of like XQ angle, or like, or has, or, you know, hasn't understood or recognized the problem, but like it's not being solved by anyone else that we see, that like, and we're reading the trades and watching how companies are operating and seeing how they talk about their unique point of view or IP or whatever it is, and like, and no one's saying it, right? So like in those instances, like it's about us being an expert on what the options are for those businesses, for those folks, right? Like we are the guinea pigs, so they don't have to be, truly. Like, and I think a lot of companies say, though, it's like, we test it out so you don't have to, or like only, you know, bring you what's most valuable, or blah, blah, blah. But like that is part of what we have to do to be good stewards.
No, it's true. It led to a conversation around that the agency trying to sell you on AI process and implementation, ways of working, operationalizing it, whatever it might be, are the ones who aren't testing and aren't exploring anymore, because they turned it into a product, a service, and we are not there, right? We use it, we explore, we try, we fail, and the difference is they were trying to sell you, we're trying to have fun and make our lives better, and like, who do you want to trust?
Well, that's part of the challenge right now too, is like,
Which is why we don't have an AI service. Meaning,
well, right, but like, because it's not, because we are not a super small shop, or like it's not like, you know, we're two young guys out of college and like, now's our chance to like just put our heads down and work on a concept and like see where it could go and just dedicate 24 hours a day to it. Like, the world is evolving, the AI capabilities are evolving, and yeah, like we're trying to push to get Agent XQ out into people's hands. But then at the same time, like, to make sure that it's not bullshit, and to make sure that, you know, it's a build on what's out there in the market, like that capability, that output continuously shifts, right? So like, it's tough to build while the, you know, the finish line's still moving, and the team gets pissed at me for that all the time. But it goes back to like, I have 13,000 literally like iterations of the underlying like meat, right? Like, that's the continuous experimentation. And so it's like, when they're like, well, you know, have you tried, like, yes, right? And like, and pushed its boundaries to every single LLM and every single tool, right? And truly have tried them all. So it's like, other agencies might use chat, might use Claude, or whatever it may be, or they have an agent that like is their, you know, strategy agent that they feed it some like parameters, and it kind of gets back some generic thing. But like, all they've done is take their like frameworks that used to be hundreds of pages of PDF of presentations, give them the AI, and basically say like, okay, automated output and fill these blocks.
Yeah. How much on this podcast do you talk about XQ? Like, if someone's listening right now, they have no idea what that means, what you just said.
And we haven't really talked about it.
Yeah.
We haven't had a conversation like this. It's mostly been shaping interviews and stuff like that. Yeah.
I got a compliment on XQ output from a client. I struck content from the report because I thought it was wrong. I thought it was hallucinating. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. They don't offer those services.
Our AI does not hallucinate.
It does.
James.
Like, it was referencing verticals that I was like, that's wrong. They've been very clear about what they do. And I missed part of it when I was taking it out of the deck. And their managing director saw it and went, I'm glad Agent XQ caught that because we do offer those and we need to talk about it more. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. How did it find it? I couldn't find it. Didn't see it's on their website. It's never talked about. It's never in any of their documentation. But they offer services that are not there, but Agent XQ referenced it. And broke out competitors. It broke out the audience.
I mean, there's some secret
Blatant
sauce in there.
magic.
Well, it's all grounded and it's triangulated. So like our AI, right, is not just we use AI. Like we built in many different sort of layers that give it a completely sort of different personality and different charge. So like when it is going to source data, right, like we're requiring a cross section of 8 different types of evidence, like, right? So that can be statistical reports, it can be peer-reviewed research, it can be, first-party review language, it can be a bunch of different things, but there's 8 categories. And then in order for it to really be surfaced, it has to show up sort of in 3 different ways. So we're validating the accuracy and essentially forcing it to be accurate, right? So it can't assume and sort of connect dots that aren't there, which hallucinate or, imply or infer, because ultimately, right, that whole analogy of starting 1 degree off at the starting line, right, like is a very big deviation if you're trying to ultimately get to the moon or wherever the hell the example is. So that's one of the ways is how we think about the evidence or data, the insights that's pulled. And we also log every single piece. So there's a consistent thread, and it's not many instances, whether you have great prompt chains or, try to keep it as deterministic as possible. Like it's not building truly on what it learned before because of context windows, and just like a human would forget, like it kind of does too. So we're categorizing and essentially scoring all of the research that's pulled and logging it in a ledger. And then that is compared and sort of we use the XQ variables, right, to then understand what that evidence means as far as how it would impact a business decision or how it would impact a customer's response to a message or whatever it may be. So I think that we're using it very different, right? Like, yes, people are using it every day. Like, hey, write my email for me. But that's not different. And that doesn't either. It makes our life easier, but it doesn't make us anything different in the marketplace. Whereas the way in which we're using AI for Agent XQ, the evidence protocols, the variables that we've identified, the ability for that to be connected to what AI can see in patterns and data, but we have identified the variables that humans understand or humans resonate with and give meaning to things. So we've effectively sort of converged 2 fields that otherwise really didn't see or speak the same language, right? And then have identified a way to use that to predict outcomes.
I still don't think people know what you're talking about.
Probably not. I don't really know what I'm talking about sometimes either.
Well, we're working on it.
Well, we talk about it daily, right?
We talk about it
I know
daily,
you're
so-
playing you don't know, which I appreciate to ask the question, but like, how do you explain it?
Well, I was told that when I explain it, I am not being accurate.
Well, probably not.
I
Did I tell you that?
No,
Oh.
Bren told me that. And I was wondering, is it that I'm not accurate, or am I explaining it in a different way that he also doesn't understand?
Also possible.
But my response was never let the truth get away with a good story. Because when I explain it, I don't go into any of those details. I do not open the hood of the car.
And maybe you don't need to. I feel like I do because of everyone challenging what's under the hood, right? Like that is currently where, and maybe because sometimes you're a little bit like, you can say that you're removed from under the hood, so you don't have to go into it. But like when it's, oh, this is the creator, right, of it, like they want to know how it's different than, right? Like, and so, yeah, I go down the
we end up in the same thing as, how is it different? What's the value, right? You're saying it's different and it's valuable because of the engine, the machinery, and I'm saying it's different because of the use and the meaning that's created. Because I experience it on the client side in presentations and storytelling and strategy and understanding of the market, understanding of competitors, understanding of the brand itself. And I never have to explain like, oh, well, we use 109 different like factors, and it came like, when I do, I usually start with the psycholinguistics thing because I think that's incredibly interesting, and as a foundation, right? A foundation of like the beginning of this journey that it's on, right? It's interesting. It's like I often talk about the notion of psychographics itself as being an absolute bullshit part of our industry. We've been talking about psychographics for years. Anything that was psychographic was made up by someone like me, right? It's a persona slide that I wrote to sound clever, and I just thought about who was most like this demographic that we do have data on, right? We do have reporting that there's a male-aged 40 to 50 living in central Connecticut who drives, college educated, and it's like, yeah, this is what I can make up about them in my head because I'll do a little storytelling. For the first time ever, through the use of psycholinguistics, it actually started giving us psychographics that were not made up by someone like me. It was actually analyzing the psychology of a specific human being or set of people inside this who represent this psychology of the user, the buyer, whatever it might be. And so that's one of those things that Bren maybe questioned, but I'm like, no, I've been doing this for a long time. Psychographics are bullshit. We use demographics. Some of that is bullshit. Psycholinguistics was our first step towards truth.
Yeah. I think like something that, or a metaphor that I've been thinking about recently, like I went to like racing. It's a Formula One.
Yeah, I just read your deck.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
it's a good metaphor.
Essentially, like,
hard to understand the deck, but it's a really good metaphor.
Well, because what did I do? I sketched out the deck, and then I gave it to Notebook and said, create a presentation, and it took its own liberty with that. So I didn't throttle that one.
It's great. It looks really cool.
But that concept of like, instead of all of those, right, the depth, right, like where it got to is like execute as a system for tuning decisions to real world conditions before execution. Like, yeah. Right. Because like now that everyone has an F1 race car, like because technology has leveled out speed and all of those things, right? Like all those conditions, the only real differentiator is in the driver and the team, right? Like how do you tune? And what we're trying to do, it's actually kind of funny. Like if you look at F1, right? They have, like 400 sensors in the car that's ultimately returning 1 billion data points plus over a race weekend. But then for businesses that are operating long horizon, hundreds or thousands or millions of customers, the 10,000 plus data points we have on every customer and whatever else, like what do businesses look at? Customer acquisition costs, LTV, ROI, right? Like, so it's like all of that is the results. Whereas like in race, it's like, what is happening?
Right, they get 1 billion data points and they go, but did we win the race? It's like, well, you didn't analyze the data points. You just jumped ahead.
Or more what's happening, like why are we, like, why is our lap time starting to slow, right? It's like, but no one's trying to understand, like, is customer acquisition cost X because people are struggling to understand what you're offering, or because you're not reaching them at the right time, or like it's just customer acquisition cost. What was it? It needs to be less, right? Like, but none of the forces or factors that actually enable or create what the outcome will be. So that's really where XQ is supposed to focus, right?
Yeah, definitely. It came to mind. I was thinking about something we were recently running where we have our personas, we have our audiences, we have our different geos, but then when you dig into different people in different areas, and this is baby fat, by the way, so we're talking, different age groups of women in different cities and different ethnicities, and I was explaining, this is what in the past we would somehow get to one message, we'd somehow get to a campaign, one look, one style. And we'd work all this time designing that, making that, a bunch of white dudes in a room, speaking to all these different backgrounds, ethnicities, cities in the country that I've never even been to. And we used to just then launch it, right? And now here is we're fragmenting, we're targeting, we're actually localizing it and personalizing it. And we're taking that approach. I was like, this is stuff we've sold for years, decades, but no one was actually really doing. Right? Now it's here, now it's possible. But the client still looks at what's the message, right? What's the headline? What's the tagline? And so we're still in that place of, not that they did that, but I see that of the old world thinking of what's the tagline? What's the campaign idea? There's still that mindset of like, it's the 30-second commercial, it's the print, campaign series. And we now have 1 billion data points. It's not a singular race. It's a race weekend. It's qualifying. It's sprint. It's practice. It's all these things, and we have all this data. We have all this information, all these tools, all these people. What's the where do we start on the track, right? Where do we end up in the race? It's very simple questions that are trying to deal with complex information, and I think that's a challenge that we're facing.
Well, yeah, because like, I would say it's even worse than that, to be honest with you, right? Like, you still have the creative sort of, maybe they're not rose-colored glasses still, but like they do want to understand, like, well, what's the message? What's the campaign? What's the theme? But like, more and more, they're not even getting there, right? They don't even give a shit about that, right? It's just like, how many sales, how many conversions, how many customers, right?
Sure.
And like, they literally don't care what is being said. They just want to know what. And that's part of the challenge, is like this and this is why we constantly push, like, and how we stumbled into this world of XQ, like talking about humanity and the human advantage and meaning, right? And like that not being able to be replaced potentially ever by AI. But because of this push to and race to optimization and efficiency, and it has killed any pride in brand or business to the point where like ownership doesn't even really give a shit, right? It's like, they don't care how their business is perceived as long as someone's buying the product most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's killing it, right? Like, because they can't see that that's actually what is driving the sea of sameness, and they can't see that the reliance on the same data that everyone else is relying on is just creating a more competitive bidding environment for media, right? That like, not understanding that our Brooklyn queens are going to the House of Yes and are going to have certain affiliations that are more red versus blue in Los Angeles and Avalon or wherever they're going versus Houston and Noto, and all of those different nuances, clients are are, once we get them to like see it, right? They see it. There's the value, but historically, or this shift in period, like they're like, whatever. They're 28 to 44.
Mm-hmm.
Hit her with the message, right?
Mhm.
Like they'll buy the puffer jacket. It's like, no, like they want to see themselves in that lifestyle. They want to see that you know who they are.
Yeah. You said something, I think it jumped at me, was pride. Pride in brand, pride in process, like client pride, right? The brand, the client side, the brand side, client. I see it. I see some who are, it's not pride, it's fear, right? I have to keep my job, I have to pay my mortgage, I have to save face, right? I don't want to get in trouble, I don't want to push, I don't want to challenge. And then we have clients, and like one comes to mind immediately, like Bowhead Specialty, right?
Mhm.
They are goddamn proud of their company. They're damn proud of their brand, their story, what they've done, what they've overcome, and like they approached it with that pride of like, we know the website's right, not when the SEO is perfect, but when we want to walk around and, say, look where I work, right? And that I don't see enough. And I don't know if that is realistic. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's unlockable. But I'll tell you what, is they get a better return on their dollar when it comes to marketing, because that pride shows up and it is transferred to the team. And so the team works harder. The team puts more humanity, more meaning, more energy
Mhm.
into it. It resonates when people are not proud of what they do, what they represent, what they're working toward, of their brand, of their audience, or their community. It shows up in a better way.
They participate in the process too.
Yeah.
And then it actually gets followed through once the work is done, right? So like it actually has time to build meaning and be seen and it pay off in the marketplace. Because how often have people gotten excited, or we got come in on projects and like ultimately only thing that happened was like they got new colors and like a better logo and a better experience, but like they didn't actually change how they talked about their business to themselves or to their, internally, or how they thought about it. And given much of like the utility nature of consumer consumption right now, I do think like there is a skew to, you still see that more in professional services, specifically like higher end professional services, because like that is still the main differentiator for how they trade on their client base, right? And it's like that through line of actually working with them is conveyed in visual language and the touch points with the brand and everything else, right? Like that really has to continue to be consistent. And those that are sophisticated understand that, right? Like Bowhead does. I think like on the product side, outside of the brands that we, sort of all know from Super Bowl ads and things like that, there isn't that much value or pride or focus because of the amount of other options out there, right? Like it has become utilitarian, like whether it's because of Amazon or Etsy or whatever it is, like there is no brand, right? Like I just need socks. Like there was a time, well, like I want to buy from, what is it? Bonobos, because they give to the,
I think so.
home, the
Shrugs.
the domicile challenged. Right, but now it's like, I need socks. I got a hole in my socks. Other in the wash. I'll go on Amazon. I want no shows that don't. Oh, okay. There's 2,000 options, right? And let's be honest, it's all like some hack company that's just like creating different storefronts, and it's like it's all the same products, but there's 2,000 different options. They all have 715,000 reviews, which is like, seemingly statistically impossible that many people like bought and reviewed their product, right? And I want them by tomorrow, right? Like, and but that is what's filling up a lot of our lives.
But do you think that's the end of CPG, the end of product brands, or is that is that going to flip back?
I would argue that it hasn't actually flipped for everyone, but I think that it's gotten more divided because certain businesses truly have an identity, right? Like, and my mind was going to, food, but like it can be how they source or who they employ to harvest or to produce or sell, like those that have like a real story or that focus on health and the cleanliness of their ingredients, and like those are the pillars that they were built on, that they stand on, that they continue to message on, are finding consumers that value that. Right? Like Tori's a perfect example. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna go, like I want to get a superfoods scoop thing for like shake or whatever, right? And she's like, and I was like, I was gonna go to like GNC or Vitamin Shop or whatever. She's like, don't do that. She's like, I've been doing a ton of research, and like there's like those all have like fillers and whatever. Like these 3 brands, like let me send it to you, right? So it's like she's done her due diligence, but like that's an area of her daily that like is valuable, right? And like so if brands understand where they fit in that sort of value exchange or in that relationship, and they can make themselves truly resonate, then they can stay a staple. Then you can say like, I'm going to continue to go back, and like maybe it takes me an extra day, or maybe I pay the extra $2 or whatever it is, but I'll choose them first. But if they can't find that nerve,
Yeah, but that's
or they don't spend the effort to connect on that nerve, then it doesn't matter.
She's buying products. She's buying ingredients. But is she buying brand? Are you buying brand at that point?
Yeah, brand for that. Like we did it with like baby, like for the formula and stuff. Like it was Boppy and one other one. Like were the only ones that like Similac and all that. Everything else was like it was all trash, right? Like
what I mean is, like when you cross the line into when you pass like this is our background, this is why we did it, this is what it is, into the storytelling of this, like this is what it means, this is what we stand for, and it's like the brand. It's
okay.
I'm not buying
it goes
shoe, I'm buying Nike,
but it
right?
goes to to bring it full circle, right? Like it goes to the underlying psychology, right? It's not that she is a X to X age female, right? That like and thinks the same. It is the things that she values, the cognitive biases that impact like her affinities and decision making, because the personality traits of a health focused, like modern professional mom caring for that, like is ensuring that her kids are also getting the nutrition, though they may not want to eat, great healthy foods, right? So finding alternative brands that infuse, vegetables and protein and whatever into foods that they'll eat, right? And that is a psychological frame, whereas like she doesn't give shit about leggings, right? Like she saw some influencer reviewing leggings and saw crazy yoga and it's and bullshit Amazon brand and they're cheap as hell, and like basically where that's a mindset of like you or I get t-shirts, right? And it's like buy something that lasts for some period of time and then flip it out for the next one.
I think there's also client psychology or psychosis of I want to be every t-shirt, I want to be every leggings they buy, and that greed, right, is you don't have to be every legging. She'll still buy Lululemon. She's just gonna have 10 pairs of the cheap one. I'm just using a sample, but like I certainly buy socks on Amazon. They're cheap. They also will get holes in it next week. Right?
Yeah.
So I do have some nicer pairs, right? I still will buy the nicer pairs, but it is that we think I must be everything. I must take, I must grow, I must get acquired, must have the biggest numbers, the greatest sales as fast as possible, right? And it's like, that's not realistic.
Mm.
The reality is these people who buy from you will buy from you if you connect with them emotionally, mentally, psychologically, intellectually, and they'll buy you, and they might come back in 6 months.
Patagonia is like always the golden child example, right? It's like they owned it, they lived it, they maintained it, they made good on it, and like the in-store experience, the way in which they talked about their beliefs on socials and their site, right? Like everything was
The way they
consistent.
sued the government.
Well, right, like everything, right? Like was consistent and true. Like, and we won't name any specifics, but like we're kind of saying like with one of our clients right now, like you have to pay that off if we're gonna be that community, right? And it's like, yeah, right. Like not worrying about like not important, right? We just need to launch it, and we'll see how it turns out, right? But like those like you need more, and it's not like there's been all the like, do you become a member of the tribe? Like, is there equal value exchange? Like, are you giving them enough value to, justify them giving you your email? Like, we've been through all of that evolution, right? And it's like, sure, yeah, that's all still reasonable and true, but it's now more so like, what is the true integrity that you stand for? Because there's literally just I'm gonna look it up when we're done, but because it's like the launch of new businesses, like especially in product land, CPG, right? Like is accelerating disproportionately, I think, to certainly population and need and everything else, right? Like you used to get like Hanes, Fruit of the Loom, then Bonobos was like, oh my God, there's another option for socks, right? And then there was like a couple that were like organic, merino wool, like, or they had like fur line, whatever, right? Like that were like for like winter, like, but it wasn't literally go, roll it.
Yeah.
Right? How many? 7 million listings in Amazon? What's your guess?
Listings on Amazon?
Yeah. I mean, how am I going to look at this? Let's see.
I don't know.
Does it tell you how many how many products there are?
No idea. I'm sure AI could tell us.
So 10,000 at least, 10,000 plus.
That's it?
I don't know. It's just 10,000 plus. I follow more.
It could be 10 million. That's the plus.
All right, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT.
If we mic'd your desk, we could compile episodes just like this is closer to like us just sitting in his office chatting. Like we were talking about value-based pricing, service.
But didn't you say that that's what people would rather listen to than my typical pontifications? 250 to 500,000 active sock listings.
How many?
250,000 to 500,000 active sock listings.
Wow.
Socks.
Socks.
I tried to buy straws for the smoothies. The kids like colorful straws or whatever. It was literally the same fucking product. I swear there was tens of thousands of them. Right? Like, you just get, okay, yeah, this one's gonna come. It's like,
yeah.
That's a lot of the world. That's a lot of what makes the economy run, right? Like it is the disposable products. It is like the daily use. So yeah, I think like it needs more now, or we need to understand what about our products
can actually
are truly connected. Like where do they connect?
Yeah.
Not just like,
yeah, it's not enough to launch, right? We experienced that with it became clothing. It was something before it was clothing. They completely changed their offering because I guess the factory they're working with in China, but they had an entirely different plan and then pivoted, but never had a purpose, never had a story, never had understanding of audience. They just said, we will launch and we'll be successful. People will buy, right? Like, buy what? You literally don't have a product yet. It's like, but they'll buy it, you know?
And what you're seeing, I think, there are the examples, right? Like in what Jake Paul has been, or Logan Paul, whatever, I don't know the difference, but like has been able to like turn into product empire, or Mr. Beast, or obviously like Kardashian or whatever, but like that's slowed too, right? That like idea of just like find a celebrity, find a trending influencer, and like hang them on this product or hook them onto this, and we're going to be successful, right?
I just found out I got hoodwinked on Nespresso. I thought I was drinking this fancy George Clooney coffee machine thing, and someone said it was actually owned by Nestle Waters.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that. That's all the N in Nespresso apparently. I was like, no way, this is fancy this is George Clooney coffee. Nope, it's not.
well, they paid him $50 million.
And then I'm paying like $40 a month for pods.
I think our last order was like,
You don't need more. You've got 500 boxes. I've seen it.
yeah, but that's
Stop
like
stealing them.
like once a quarter.
You drink all those each quarter?
Yeah.
You get he's got a wall, an entire wall of espresso pods stacked up. It looks like the Harry Potter the Wands place with all the boxes stacked. That's what it looks like.
No, well, really, it's wine, but there's like
wine there.
part of it.
That's a lot.
Oh, back to AI, huh? So how do we use it? It's like we take, yes, we use it.
Keep that part.
Right? Like
Yeah.
yes, we use it. You have to use it to even just figure out where the viable use cases, or the that was a cute test, like at home 3D TVs, right? That like we don't need that long term, right? Like, or that's not going to be something that gets wide adoption. But then, like it's not blind trust, right? Like it connects dots from historical data that may be out of date. Like it is going to force itself to answer you. So it's going to make things up if you don't properly know how to restrict its thinking to more deterministic. Like, yes, there is an endless possibilities of, can it code for me? Can it design for me? Can it translate or edit, or, right, like remove redundancies, and doesn't sleep, so can it track uptime? Like, yes, like there's, but then what does that mean for the next, like, so, okay, so if someone's not cropping for 8 hours on a bunch of production assets, like, then what does that free them up to do, right? Like, that's the thing that we need to be thinking about, or we are thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard an interesting thing on a podcast recently where one person was not calling it AI. They kept referring to it as machine learning, and they didn't talk about it. So someone was saying AI, and they would say, yeah, this machine learning, that machine learning, and they didn't talk about why, and the person didn't challenge them. And so I was driving the car, I'm like, I'm not sure I know the difference between AI and machine learning. I understand that we used to call it machine learning, and then that was a whole thing because we were teaching machines, or they were teaching themselves, and they were consuming all this data. Now everything's just AI. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe by just calling it AI, we're actually tricking ourselves, because we think we've created this vision of AI from movies and books and stories around AI being this true thinking brain that's capable of a lot. And so we outsource our thinking to it without understanding what it actually is and what it delivers back to us. So that's why when I see bad formatting, I go, they didn't think, right? Because they didn't even bother editing this. And if they called it machine learning, and like that it can translate data, it can learn, it can adapt, it can be this tool. And if we stop, like, instead of AI, it's this brain, it's this entity, this thing that I can talk to, and it has an opinion. And it's like, no. It's a machine learning tool that can learn not just from you, but from the internet, from history, from data, and it can optimize and it can adapt. But you are the brain, right? That's not the brain. That's not intelligence. You are intelligence, truly. And so if you call it that and you transfer your power to it, you're going to fail. That was my drive in this morning.
Yeah, I mean, the person was clearly a skeptic of AI, right? But like at its most truthful definition, it still is machine learning, right? It's like it is just large scale processing of data.
Savak, who he's an AI entrepreneur, built and sold intelligent artifacts. He would often refer to it not as artificial intelligence, but augmented intelligence. And he, I'm sure, had some grand story that you could find online on why he did that. But it was always interesting to hear him, like people are saying artificial, and he'd be like, augmented intelligence, and that it's not a true artificial intelligence. It's augmenting existing intelligence to adapt to prompts or users or data.
Yeah.
And he'd explain that better.
No, and I get it, right? And like and maybe I'm an outlier, and I kind of see it as just like, sure, it's just like sort of semantics to me, right? Because like,
but it does matter, because we talked about meaning, right? We apply meaning to language, right? We apply meaning to things. And so if you say AI and I say machine learning, and you're, like I'm saying, is you are applying meaning, saying that's the real thinker. It can do anything. And
no, I'm not saying that.
But I'm saying, I get interpretation and meaning.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. The human lens of it is if we shift our thinking, we shift our understanding, it can completely transform what AI is, right? The way we use it, the output we can create.
Yeah. But and where my mind goes though, there's many instances where I would take augmented intelligence over people's actual intelligence. That's the truth of it.
Or lack. Yeah.
No, exactly. Right. So like, yes, like
this is why you sit there on AI instead of talking to me all day.
No, you don't follow that. No, but that, or, and this is gonna sound bad too, but like, or intelligence of people at certain levels of their career or experience, right? Like what used to be intelligence, or like what we like an intern sourcing a bunch of reports and deciding what is important and giving that to a strategist or an analyst and saying like, okay, this is what I found. Like, is that better intelligence than augmented intelligence? Right. Like that's where so I understand exactly what you're saying. Right.
It's like that example of intelligence. It's like linguistic relativity. It's relative to, right? The language creates.
Like, no, as far as like the true, like, does it have true sentience, right? Like as far as like a cognition, and no, like, and it's not artificially intelligent in that way, but like the intelligence that it can provide is better than an 18-year-old intern Googling a bunch of shit, right? Like, at least as a starting point. But no, like, would I blindly trust it to diagnose a rare disease, right? Or is that, my mind went to House. I think I've only seen like one episode or two, but like the guy is essentially like AI plus actual human, right? It's like these are the inputs that and all the permutations of what it could be, but then it's like connecting, oh, that person traveled 6 months ago and there's this larva that has like an incubation period of this. And like, maybe it's like, no, like that's not.
But no, I mean, it sounds like you're leading towards the, we've talked about of the need of human interpretation, which someone should write a book about.
Yeah, well, we're getting there.
Yeah.
No, but yes, and especially because the other element that like we haven't really touched on is history versus future, right? And like, yes, I will concede that like historical patterns does indicate likelihood of future, right? Like that has been proven. But in this world where the slightest adjustment of an engine tune, right, or is literally fractions of a second, which means winning a race, right, or coming in last. And that nuance is just as important in business, right? Like understanding and finding an extra 1% of potential customers, or getting from 0.5% in click-through rate or 3% engagement to 3.5, right? This is millions and billions of dollars that is at stake in that nuance, right? And I think that's where there is this like true push to get to not a fundamentally new understanding or a new approach or whatever, but it is that next level of accuracy, right? Those subtleties, right? Those additional indirect connections and nodes, and like, and humans are still like, it's gut, it's experience, it's pulling things from random places and making them make sense.
It's
right?
taste, it's artistry, it's
Right.
Yep.
And right now that is the way, because it's only getting noisier, right? And it's just going to get more competitively noisy if everyone's following the same historical playbook. But if we can understand faster that yes, historical behavior indicates this, but political climate and cultural interactions and news headlines and heat waves and snow and rain, like, or whatever, right? Like these things are impacting the energy, the execution and feasibility, like the credibility of the brand, the strength of a position, or the strength of a product, or the staying power of something that just catches that shift, right? And we get percentage points better than we would have if we just acted off of the old data, right?
The way we've always done things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You're all probably bored by now, so we'll wrap it for today. I don't know.